Hello, wonderful listeners, and welcome to today's episode of the Self Improvement Project. I hope you are all well. We are having a bit of a drizzle here in Glasgow, much needed actually after a month of quite intense sun. So it's welcomed, it's refreshing, and you might hear some of it on the window as I record today. I hope you've had a nice start to your summer. I've recently written in my Sunday Thoughts newsletter around busyness. And today's episode, I'm verbalizing it. I'm going to put it into words that are spoken for you so that you can listen along to my thoughts about busyness. During this time, it might be much needed for you at this moment. But it might be something that you revisit at a time that is more suitable for you. So, if you're not needing or feeling busy at the moment, not needing reassurance around what to do when you are busy, then maybe save this one for another time when you need. However, this is all about how to manage ourselves and manage our perspective on when we are feeling too busy. So, busyness. That word can open up a lot of thoughts, can open up a lot of opinions, definitions. It's a very subjective piece, is busyness. There will have been times in your life where you were too busy and you see the benefits that it brought. There will have been times where you've not been that busy at all and maybe felt a bit bored or unsure what to do with yourself. Yet today, on those two perspectives, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to talk about why being so chronically busy is bad for us, and why being a little bit less busy is something we need to get better at. So, we could talk a lot about society. We could talk a lot about expectations that we've been brought up with. However, this is an ongoing dance that we have, this relationship with busyness. I remember in my early 20s when I got my first full-time job, and the number one expectation, not from anybody else, but from myself, was to be busy. It was to throw myself into it, do as much as I can. Now, from getting hours under my belt, if you think around the side of mastery, yes, absolutely magnificent to throw yourself into these things and be busy, but at what cost to other areas of your life? The most obvious one is health, whether that's physical or psychological. And these moments of busyness I like to think of as waves. It's okay to have waves, but we also need that time where the sea is resting. There's no waves, there's no current, there's just stillness. And something that a lot of us aren't very good at is living in that stillness, understanding that this stillness can bring us a lot of peace, it can bring us a lot of respite, and actually serve us for when we need to be busy. Now, when we think around being busy, one thing that comes to mind is doing things for the sake of them. Have you ever met somebody and you ask them how they are and they say, "Oh, busy," but at no point can they define what they are busy with? They're just on all the time. They've manage to convince themselves, whether that's subconsciously or not, that they are always busy. Yet, when we're busy, shouldn't it be on the things that really matter to us? Shouldn't it be the things that excite us? I've never met somebody who says in response to that question, oh, I'm busy, and they don't feel tired, jaded, borderline exhausted. When we are busy in a good way, we should be excited. We should feel alive. It's our purpose serving us. Yet, 99% of the time, doing things for the sake of them does not bring us that energy. We're essentially caged by busyness. And the only thing that can get us out of it is our own awareness. When we're aware, we can then start a plan to escape it. Yet it's a process. And this is why I think it's important to recognize the joy of being busy as well. It gives us challenge. It stretches us. Like I said earlier, there's a bit of mastery because I'm constantly performing in a skill that I want to develop. That's challenging me. There's variety. You're always doing something. There's an element of novelty as well. So you maybe discover something new through problem solving or experiences. And this joy can sometimes be borderline flow, where time passes because you're just in amongst doing things. Yet, it's important to always identify how it makes us feel. Like I said earlier, that energy. When you're busy, is it that positive energy that you're getting from being busy? Or are you drained? You can think a little bit about recovery as well. When you do these things that challenge you, stretch you, keep your mind going, the recovery side of things should feel good. A day off should feel peaceful. Think about when you do some exercise, whether that's you go for a long run or you do some intense exercise like HIIT, or you maybe lift some weights that are a bit heavier than what you've done before. And that feeling the next few days is painful, but in a nice way. It's that feeling of accomplishment. Your sore muscles that ache are there not because they're injured, but because they're growing. And you resting, you feel calm, you feel at one, because you're doing something that your body wants and is designed to do. However, we are at that stage of, how often do we do that? Think of the last time that you felt like that from busyness. Busyness is chronic. Busyness is relentless. And unfortunately, busyness is the narrative. We're at the stage where it's not healthy for us. The joy of being busy that I was describing a moment ago, that's healthy. That's healthy busyness. Yet this chronic, relentless narrative is the expectation. It's the bubble that we are a part of, and it's something that, if you're brave enough, you need to break the mold. Instead of being in a place where we can spend our energy on the things that we're good at and that we can perform at, we always dip into those energy savings. We dip into them way too frequently for us to perform to our best. In order to be the best version of yourself, wholeheartedly, and in a well-rounded way, you can't be dipping into your energy savings all the time. You're never going to be the best version of yourself if you're not resting. Because when you need to turn up, you should be on top of your game. Like I say, this narrative, this expectation is scary. It's scary because it's normalized. And in my opinion, it's no way to live. There's an element or an argument here that being busy is cool. But busy is only cool when you're doing things that are fun. Doing things that are stretching you in a positive way. And it's only cool when it's 10 to 20% of what we're doing. You could also argue that busyness is a distraction. It stops us sitting with ourselves in solitude and making ourselves feel bad about how little we are doing. Busyness removes the fear of missing out on things. Busyness is an excuse for productivity. However, busyness can be a life choice. I admire and respect people who are at the top of their field. And they didn't get there by doing the things that I'm talking about just now. They did it because they chose to be busy. They chose the path of relentless mastery, like I was talking about in my early career. They chose to invest themselves in something that they care about and will for the rest of their life. They want to be the best, and that takes sacrifice of being busy. But how much are you willing to sacrifice? Do you want to be the best? Do you want to just be someone that is admired for it? Or do you actually not care at all? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself when you're sacrificing your precious time for the expectation and narrative of being busy. This episode is permission. It's permission for you to stop being so busy. Less is more. By turning yourself on to be busy, less, you will turn up and be your best version more. Not achieving things is okay. Yet, please be aware that this permission is not an excuse for you to start thinking that you're not enough as a result of not being busy. This is not an excuse for you to not be your true self. And this is definitely not permission for you to feel guilty and feel shame around not doing enough or dismissing self-love. Not being busy is admirable. Do not let the lack of achievement, accomplishment, desire, goals. Don't let that stop you from loving yourself. The ultimate that we need, and this is important, as I said at the start, if this isn't for you just now, it will come up, is harmony. There will be times, perhaps after this episode, where you sacrifice being busy and you feel really good about it, but you'll need that little bit of busyness again, that little sprinkle. It's about the balance and harmony of how we live. But too often, we are too busy. So find that harmony between rest and busyness. Busyness around things that matter to you. Rest about things that bring you that energy for when you need it later on. Otherwise, guys, that's me. I hope you've enjoyed that. Write to me with your thoughts. I do this on a Sunday as well, with my Sunday Thoughts newsletter, where you can subscribe. If you want to subscribe to an extra episode of the podcast a week, I do that every Friday for 99p per month. And I'm opening up my Monday slots, 2 till 5 p.m. GMT time zone, for anybody that wants a chat about self-improvement in general. Just ping me a message via email and I can set it up for you. Otherwise, guys, have a wonderful week and I will see you all next time. Cheers.